Hey friends, it's Cam and Graydon Bunn from the Stickers and Scuffs podcast, and we want to tell you about our friend and teammate Cassie Howard and KPH Photography.
Cassie is not only a talented and passionate racer, running her Kineski back number 59 for BT Racing in the Wampum Fuels Bone Stock Series at Delaware Speedway, but Cassie is also a passionate photographer and entrepreneur, wanting to grow her KPH photography brand.
KPH can capture moments and memories in virtually any setting, whether it's at the rink, at the track, indoors, outside, or a black tie gala. KPH Photography will bring skills and friendly service to your next event in the London, Ontario area.
We at Stickers and Scuffs podcast thank Cassie and KPH Photography for the support and friendship. And be sure to message Cassie via Facebook or Instagram about purchasing BT Racing merchandise, or ask her about designing a look for your brand and bringing it to life on top quality t-shirts and hoodies.
Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team at Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
Failure. Replace me. Replace me, I dare you, Graydon.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Segue like no other. Cam K, Graydon Bunn, back with you. KPH Photography sponsored episode because we've got Phil the Thrill, Phil Givens on here. We have him on because KPH Photography will take photos of this beauty any day of the week. Phil, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Been a long couple weeks here, but we've been, getting to the front of the pack and having some fun. So I'm doing good. I'm pretty happy. I got a week off work this week. So, we're going to be traveling around a little bit.
That's always
You've always
nice
been traveling. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah. As great.
You've always been traveling around a fair bit with Captain Chris and doing the tour, all the speedways lately, kind of traveling where the rain isn't, I guess, a lot of it, eh?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Woke up Saturday morning and Flamborough rained out there and postponed. So Nicole looked at me and said, "Why don't we go to Sunset?" And unfortunately, one spot short again, and it's
Same
tough
guy
over
too.
there, but.
Same guy as last time.
Same guy, it was literally deja vu. Same restart with 5 to go, same race to the end, and he got me again. So he's got a quick car.
I love hearing this story because because we talked about this at Sunset, that first race that I saw you in. How old is that zero car that you're running out there?
It was built in 2015. And yeah, I've had it since the end of 15, and it's my baby. It's pride and joy, and yeah, it's still going.
Old reliable. I love when we hear Graydon and I we get to hear about car histories. And I don't really care about like people's own vehicle cars. Like I like to hear about race car histories because especially like in OSS, we've heard some of these cars dating back to like 1989 and stuff, and they've gone through like 10 owners. But bone stocks, obviously, they kind of also change hands quite routinely. Is that once somebody's put one together, there are a couple that seem to go kind of through the field, and you see them with different people. But yourself, Phil, I got to know how you got involved with bone stock racing, because you kind of do more than everybody now. You kind of race weekly at 2 tracks. competing for 2 championships. So how did that all become your focus?
About 10 years ago, I started with mini stocks and had a couple cars, ran them, and it was mediocre, but the cost was getting up there a little bit. A good buddy of mine, Nick Clark, he bought that Zero car from the Sprint into Spring at Full Throttle Motor Speedway. It was an enduro car, and he converted it into a bone stock so he could race. And he paid his rent the entire summer of 2015 with it. And then he sold it to me at the end. And but yeah, that's pretty much how we started bone stocks. Every year, I've been traveling around since 2015 with the Zero car. And then 2000, I believe it was 2000 and whatever year the pandemic was just about over, 21, I think, 2021. Chris Lawrence called me and said, "Hey, why don't you come down and wheel one of these cars for the 75 lapper at Delaware?" And ever since that day, Chris and I, we've clicked. We got Wade Thorne as well as my co-driver at Flamborough, and we proved last weekend that we've got some stuff figured out there. And that's pretty much all it is. It's we got Nicole's car running too, and she's running for points at Flamborough, and it's been a busy year so far, but having fun with it.
You touched on it there. I kind of wanted to know how you and Chris, because inevitably, if you're in the bone stock world, you're going to cross paths with the Lawrence family and Chris. When I had my first opportunity to race with you guys, if you were right in the thick of things, and Chris is always as you know, as lots of people know, or is always running around working on all the cars, trying to making sure all the drivers, everybody's happy and stuff like that. When you guys are in a working context, you guys, I get you've explained how long you've known each other, but it shows how like-minded you guys are and how well you work together. I get it from the tradesman perspective too, like where you guys don't necessarily need to talk to each other to know what each other's thinking when you're thrashing on a car.
Yeah, like at Delaware, Chris pretty much walks over and says, "Are you good?" And if I got a few questions, I thought, "Hey, maybe will this work? I think maybe this will work." And if we're both stumped, Joe Lawrence is right around the corner strutting his stuff, and he comes walking over and says, "No, don't do that. Do this." And so it's good that way. But yeah, Chris and I, even at Flamborough, like this weekend, he showed up last minute, like always, because that's Chris. And he showed up. We got their cars figured out, and they got these with us. And but yeah, that's how it is. We all, even Wade Thorne, we're always bumping ideas off each other.
It's what you need.
Yeah, it seems like a good group of guys there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the BT kind of gang is really what it is. You kind of always seem to add people to it, and you got like, at this rate, you're going to have like 30 teammates is what you've probably gone through in one season. But Phil, you've done it for a while now. So what's the state of bone stock racing? Because my understanding, and we're still new to the weekly game, like that's not what we were familiar with when we started this podcast. We're only a year or so into learning all about the weekly stuff. My understanding is the bone stock division was not what it is today a couple of years ago. How are things going so far, at least specifically at Delaware Speedway and then at Flamborough?
Delaware's tough. They keep adding a few different rules, some of them safety rules, which that's 100%. You're flying around that place. But then some rules, I don't know how to properly say it, but some things aren't as enforced as good as you think they would be. But the bone stocks at Delaware are right at that point where it's going to become real expensive, real fast to try and be running at the front. So really it's the mini stocks of 2012, 2013, right before they got crazy expensive. Flamborough, they got Glen Hills guy does a unreal job making sure everybody's in line. And their rule package seems to work the best, I find, out of anywhere in Ontario. But like you said, bone stocks 5 years ago, it was literally slap a little bit of camber in the front right. And, some of the cars had half cages in them. It was just strictly for fun. And they're really fast. They need to stop. And they need to freeze it where it is, because it's just going to become too expensive.
It's a worry, I think, that we have with most racing divisions. But the counts back then, Chris's goal has been to get 50, and he got there. I mean, you guys had 55 a couple weeks ago. Is that, again, how is that compared to when you started?
When I started, I started most of my race full throttle. When I was in that car, when I first got the zero car, we had 24 a night, and it was full field. Traveled. It would combine into like a full field with all the traveling cars. You'd have B features and everything. Honestly, what I seen at Delaware, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. That was insane. There was nowhere to park. 55 cars. You're looking around, you see it's 4-cylinder race cars. And, what other track can you go to that the whole pits are pretty much 4-cylinder race cars? But yeah, I feel like some of the fields are starting to dwindle. We're on a bit of a rebound. I would say that. It looks like Peterborough is hurting a little bit. They're getting, 12, 13 cars. Delaware's obviously full. Flamborough, I think we had, on average, we're 20 to 24. I think Varney or Full Throttle's up around that. And Sunset, I was there the other night. We had 23 cars at Sunset on Saturday night. So the numbers are coming back. It's just to keep them reined in, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, that's exactly to your point. I mean, it's a way to go pure racing. I mean, for guys like me, for example, I mean, to get in something and run with guys that know what they're doing, like yourself and with Chris, it's the best way for rookies and young people, whoever's getting into it, to learn. And I hope that it does stay, as you say, kind of within cost containment, because it is such a great way to get people in. And it's just like at the cup level, or like the national stock car racing level, where if you have kind of the lesser guys racing against the guys that are going fast, I mean, they're going to learn how to go fast or get out of the way, one or the other. I mean, it's the best way to learn. It's the most fun I've ever had in my life, just trying to get out of your way.
Yeah, it's a great spot, Delaware, to learn there. Like, when I first went there, I only started racing there 2 years ago, that first time with Chris. So he taught me everything on that track. And my first time, I was worried about getting in people's way.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear this, and Phil, you've got to go through the accolades, because you've won some pretty big events, and we need to toot your horn. Okay. We need to talk about how great Phil Givens is. So let's hear about the long list of Phil Givens trophies, and how much better at it you are than Chris Lawrence.
Yeah, you know what? I'm having fun winning Chris trophies this year. But yeah, I don't even have. They're in the back room, honestly. I think 2016 I won the points championship at Varney. 2018 I won Saubles champion, and I also won Frosttoberfest that year. 2019, I don't know what I did in 2019. I won a bunch of features, nothing crazy. 2020 was the COVID. 2021 was Autumn Colors. I won that, and Spring Velocity that year. Yeah, and then just third place at Delaware. I got that one and only feature win at Delaware. That drives me nuts. I need more.
Yeah.
But I've won the zero cars. Won. I think I'm at 76 races now in that car, and then so.
Talk about Varney a little bit, man, because I got to practice there by myself. I didn't get to drive with anybody yet because the weekend got rained out. No kidding. But man, it's so cool for a stone cold rookie to drive in, and when you enter the track and you're looking down at turn 3 and 4, like banking as steep as Daytona on Canada's fastest quarter mile. It's such a neat little spot, and man, turn 4 can reach out and grab you if you're not careful, right?
Yeah, Varney's a track of its own.
Yeah.
There's two different stages that I've been through when I race, but when I first started, it wasn't a D shape, right? It was just 2 straightaways, one down the back, shoot down the back. There was no wall. You could go down the hill on the back, and it was funny because you go down there and you'd have to get spun around and slowly climb back up the hill with the car and hope you're not 5 laps down. But yeah, now with Varney, biggest trick to that track is corner speed. Turn 3's got that dip when you go in, kind of upsets the car, and then if you really hit it weird, it throws it off. And you're right, the turn 4 wall comes up quick.
Yeah, it sure does.
There's grip. When you're about 2 inches off the wall, your tires grab, so there's grip there. Mm-hmm. But it's a fun place.
Yeah, it totally is. Cam?
Yeah, I think I lost Cam.
Oh.
No, you got me. It's I pressed the wrong button. Throwing me off my game, but I guess we're studying really because what Graydon's doing. He's trying to steal notes from you.
I'm fishing. That's what I'm doing.
He's fishing.
I can't fish in the water, so I fish for race car information.
So he's trying to get the Phil Gibbons secret to success here because clearly
no, I don't want to toss secrets out.
76. Did you hear that? 76 wins. 76.
Earnhardt.
Yeah, clearly. What is it about? And I've heard it time and time again about what is it about Pontiac Sunfires that make them such good bone stocks? Because everybody says, "Oh yeah, they're cheap and they never die," but is that really what it is?
I've been in a Cobalt. I've raced one time and it didn't end well. I ended up in the turn. Was that turn 2 wall head on knocked out, broke my thumb a couple years ago. And I didn't like that car, but everything I've ever been told, they're called the Sunfire and Cavaliers are a J body car. That's the chassis. And they just turn. They turn better than anything else. So that's a big thing. Everybody thinks it's straightaway speed. No, corner speed is where you win races.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty, like going front wheel drive too, and then like watching them, like some of them racing around you guys, and like the left rears off the ground, and they're just digging, and man, like it's cool to see it happening. I can't wait. I didn't have my onboard at the time, and I can't wait to get some onboard footage of that. Thanks to MPWA. But man, those things. They dig like nothing else. They're so much fun to drive. Yeah,
for sure. It's entertaining. You can go through a whole season without changing the left rear tire because it's in the ground for 3/4 of the lap or off the ground.
I believe Chris has said that he has done it. I think he said at Flamborough without a left rear tire before, which he would.
I wonder.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder, so you're racing out in the Sunfires out at Delaware. You got a pretty stout field out there. Obviously for the championship, it's Jay Cox and obviously Jeremiah Rabideau out there as well that you guys are competing against kind of week in and week out. Colin Wilms, these guys are kind of newer, I guess, to the to the championship scene over the last couple of years, it's kind of been Chris and Joe, and they're not there anymore, running full time. So what is it that you guys have to do to be able to compete with these guys week in and week out? Because it is proving to be pretty difficult out there.
Yeah, Chris puts a great setup in the cars for me, and we know how to tailor it to make it as good as it's going to get on race day. But other than that, like you have to be up on the wheel from lap 1 to lap 25. You got to be up there. You know, you can't take a lap off or else you're done. Jeremiah Rabideau, a lot of people don't know, Rabideau's raced a long time, and he's wild, and he's fast. Jay Cox kind of came out of nowhere. We weren't expecting that much speed out of him. But yeah, there's a lot of good cars this year up there. So yeah.
And one of the best.
I have to just before I have to interrupt. What's the amount that Chris has put out? The most single amount that he's put out this year? Is it like 15 or 16 of cars that he's actually worked on?
Oh boy, I couldn't even tell you. The other night, I think there was 13 the other night out of his stable, but that didn't include. He's helped out Matt Langford. He's helped out Jenneru, like those type of guys. Chris has probably got his hand in, I would say, pretty close to half the field.
Oh my God, that's awesome. But like what you were just talking about, the seat time is everything. I mean, it helps when you're in the car or at a speedway as often as possible to be as sharp as possible when you're ready to go to battle at Delaware or wherever you're running for the points championship or at Flammy or whatever too, right? Just go race.
Yeah, actually, my brother-in-law called me a couple hours ago. They're gonna take a car out for practice tomorrow to test it to make sure it's good for the weekend. And I got thinking, maybe I'll bring the zero car out for practice tomorrow just to get back in the seat again. But like we got Sobel on Wednesday night for the Dash for Cash. Friday night at Delaware. Saturday up in the air. Don't know quite where I'm going yet. We'll have a car at Flamborough for sure. So yeah, seat time.
And go time. It's busy right now, right? If it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
I wonder what the rest of the goal is for this year, Phil. Obviously, championship in both tracks would be great. Getting a couple more feature wins. Are you planning on doing Velocity, Autumn Colors? What's the long-term kind of plans for you for this season and then heading into next year?
Yeah, we're just chasing trophies now. Wade and I we're sitting up at the top there in points at Flamborough. Delaware might be a little out of reach, so we're just I'm going to go for the wins every night, see what happens. For fall stuff, we'll get Velocity, Frosttoberfest, Autumn Colors like normal. It's just a matter of what car we're going to be taking. I got an option of technically 3 of them. So, but yeah, it'll all be different. I'm sure I'll take a different one for each track type thing.
Well, I guess just before Graydon, because you said that, I've not been a driver. So, and I haven't been a driver ever in my life, but you're driving 3 cars that are all kind of the same make and model. Do they still drive differently, even though they're the same kind of car?
100%. Everyone's a little bit different. Like the pink car up there, the 50 car, the pink Flamborough car, you really got to open the corners up with it more to keep the momentum up. The Delaware car, same idea at Delaware. You got to keep rolling the corners with it, but it's a little bit tighter of a setup. It's not as loose on entry. And then the zero car is pretty much to my liking because I have all the time that I can put the setup where I want it to be, and I can put it anywhere on the track, anywhere it needs to go pretty much, other than in front of Brandon Steele.
Yeah, I know that guy. He's right from my stomping grounds too. So another truck driver in my area. So it's kind of neat that we see him rolling into our pit, and fellow race car driver kind of talked to him about racing that I saw pictures of his car at sunset, and I was like, I know him, like the Steele family. I'm like, I wonder if that is Brandon Steele. And sure enough, it was him. So now we got new stuff to talk about. And man, he is fast. It's cool to see one of our local boys sticking it to them down there at sunset. But Phil, you go racing every week anywhere that you can. You can't do it alone. You got tons of partners with you. Shout out to everybody that helps you get to the racetrack, man.
Oh boy, there's a ton of them with Chris's, and I'm sorry if I missed some of it. But
do what you can. I didn't mean to put you like totally on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Two Speed Motorsports. Corey's been with me since 2018 at Solville. I was pretty much out of cash. I was 5 races into the season. We had 3 more to go to win the championship, and he came on board and funded the rest of that season, and we got that. So ever since then, he's been, our number one guy. Ennetville Garage out of Ennetville there in Ontario. Wellington Perforated Sheet and Plate. They give me a shop to work on the cars and everything. Store the cars there. It's actually my work. I drive truck for them. And then, I got to think. So, oh boy, Chris's, all the ones on Chris's. Obviously, Caldecott Millwrights as well. Let me just got a list here, guys.
Yeah. Milk, eggs. No, that's not it. No.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. We got so many of them. Oh, where did it go? Gotta look at a picture of the car. All right, there we go. Obviously, Dad's Discount Auto Parts and Supply, Corey's Tire, Wild's Printing, Epic Racewear, International Tire, and a new one that he got this week that have been supplying him quality H2O is Arctic Clear from Fergus.
Nice.
So.
Week in and week out, Phil, you make it a thrill to watch you in the bone stocks. We absolutely love it. Honestly, because of the Delaware broadcasts, I really got to learn and see how friggin' good this division is.
Yeah, both
fun. How much fun it is to watch. I love to watch it. I'm not crazy enough to get behind the wheel and actually race with you guys like this one over here, but I really want to thank you for coming on and chatting with us. We've chatted at the racetrack a couple of times to be able to watch you race, and you race clean as possible. I love when you get fired up too. It always makes it a lot more exciting too. So we definitely want to wish the best of luck for the rest of the season, battling for those championships, and of course, securing more and more victories. You got to get to the magic 100, man. Like that's you need 100 bone stock wins. I think that's what we need before the end of the career, Phil?
Yeah, that would be cool. I think going into next year, I think I'm going to back off a little bit. Life's getting there, and we got to focus on other things, and but still keep a car around to have some fun here and there. And obviously I also gotta thank you guys for doing this and being on every single one of our cars, including Nicole's. And I gotta thank her for letting me go to the racetrack or coming to the racetrack and joining us. That was the biggest thing, is joining us and having fun. So yeah,
definitely,
man, it's awesome to be able to race against you, and I look forward to doing it again. Definitely at Delaware, if you happen to show up where I happen to be, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'll get the hell out of your way.
You better.
Yeah.
Looking out for the teammate.
Otherwise, you're not back.
Yeah.
Well, that's Phil Givens of BT Racing on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. And of course, we want to thank Cassie Howard, his teammate at BT Racing, for the partnership of KPH Photography for this episode. So excited to bring her on as a new partner for the podcast. Have a great week, everybody. We'll catch you all next week on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.